Christina Carlin-Kraft thought she had regained control of her life after a recent robbery, but little did she know, she was about to let evil walk right into her home. This is a story of trust that turned into tragedy. Christina Carlin-Kraft was born on November 11, 1983, in the United States. She was a renowned model who collaborated with prominent brands and publications such as Vanity Fair, Maxim, Playboy, and Victoria's Secret. Her charm and beauty made her highly sought after in the modeling industry. However, despite her professional success, Christina's personal life was overshadowed by tragic events. Christina lived in Ardmore, a suburb of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in a luxury apartment where she was trying to recover from a difficult period in her life. Her friends described her as a kind and cheerful woman who loved art, fashion, and appreciated the attention of others. On August 18, Christina returned home but noticed something strange. Her apartment had been robbed. Expensive jewelry and clothes were gone. She reported it to the police, but at that time, she thought everything would be fine. She never suspected that her life was in danger. Andrew Melton was a suspect in the burglary of Christina Carlin-Kraft's apartment days before her murder. He broke into her home and stole jewelry and handbags. Melton was arrested and charged with theft, but investigators determined that his actions were unrelated to the murder. On the evening of August 21, 2018, Christina went for dinner with friends at an upscale bar in the city. There, she met a man who, she thought, seemed friendly and interesting. Meeting this man at the restaurant seemed like one of those coincidences that could change her life. But no one could have predicted how fateful that evening would turn out to be.
This is that Christina Carlin-Kraft called police just a few days before her death to report a robbery. They would soon return to this apartment building and find her strangled.
On August 22, 2018, Christina was found dead in her apartment. Police discovered her body after her parents, concerned that she was unreachable, called for a welfare check. The circumstances of her death immediately pointed to foul play. Christina had been strangled, as confirmed by forensic examination. The police began their investigation. The first clues suggested that the killer might have been familiar with Christina. Her phone contained messages with a man she had met a few days before the tragedy. But who was he? And what drove him to commit this act? The police studied surveillance footage and identified the man. His name was Jonathan Harris, a man with a criminal history of theft and assault. Police determined that Christina initially allowed Jonathan Harris into her apartment willingly, but an argument soon erupted between them. According to investigators, she tried to resist. Signs of a struggle were evident at the crime scene. Neighbors later reported hearing noises around midnight, but no one suspected that something horrific was unfolding. This silence proved fatal. Harris was later arrested, and he was charged with first-degree murder, but questions remained. Why did he return to his victim? Was it premeditated, or did he act impulsively? When police arrested Harris, he immediately gave contradictory statements. In his initial words, he claimed he never intended to kill anyone. However, his past crimes revealed a pattern of violence. Jonathan Harris was born in the United States and grew up in challenging circumstances. He had a criminal record that included assaults and robberies. He had been out of prison for only a few days before meeting Christina. Harris was known for his violent behavior and drug addiction. During police interrogations, Harris claimed that an argument broke out between them over drugs, specifically cocaine. When Christina attempted to call the police, Harris attacked her. According to his confession, he struck her, tied her up, and then strangled her before leaving her body in the apartment. After the murder, he attempted to evade capture. Surveillance cameras recorded him boarding a bus traveling from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. Authorities tracked his location through phone calls and messages, which led to his arrest. The trial of Harris became one of the most talked about cases. Prosecutors argued that this was a cold-blooded murder. The defense attorney attempted to portray Harris as someone who acted in the heat of the moment. Ultimately, the jury didn't hesitate. Jonathan Harris was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. The case of Christina Carlin-Kraft received widespread public attention. Her tragic death highlighted the risks of interacting with strangers and the dangers that women can face. The media extensively covered the case, emphasizing the brutality of the crime and the need for increased safety measures. Christina's family still struggles with unanswered questions. Could this horror have been prevented? Her story is a tragic reminder of how thin the line between trust and danger can be. The case of Christina Carlin-Kraft remains a poignant reminder of a tragedy that might have been prevented. It drew attention to issues such as offender rehabilitation, drug addiction, and urban safety. Christina's memory lives on among her friends, family, and those who knew her as a talented model and kind-hearted individual. Christina's family has yet to recover from the loss. Her parents describe her as kind, cheerful, and always ready to help others, but her trust turned out to be a fatal mistake.